Today's tech news moves fast, but understanding it shouldn't be hard. That's why Snarful Solutions Group brings you Connecting the Dots, where we break down what's happening in tech and why it matters to you. Now, let's dive in with your hosts.
Welcome to Connecting the Dots. I'm Alex.
And I'm Morgan. We are broadcasting live this morning from the Snarful Solutions Group headquarters right here in beautiful Sacramento, California.
And today is Wednesday, March 25th, 2026. If you're stepping outside here in Sacramento, well, you are looking at a gorgeous sunny high of 84 degrees.
Which is absolutely perfect. But, enjoy it if you have it locally, because if you are listening to us from anywhere else in the country, the weather map is honestly looking incredibly intense today.
Yeah, intense is probably an understatement. We're tracking over 200 record-breaking, or at least near record high temperatures sweeping across the entire southern half of the U.S.
Right, and that heat wave is bringing some really serious secondary risks along with it.
Oh, definitely.
Because of that widespread, record-breaking warmth combined with exceptionally low humidity and these gusty winds, critical fire weather warnings are active right now.
And that's a massive area, too.
It really is. It spans all the way from the Central Rockies straight through the plains. So if you are in those zones, please just stay alert today.
Absolutely. So let's pivot over to the morning numbers, because the markets are bringing plenty of heat on their own today.
Always nice to see.
For sure. The Dow Jones is up 327 points, closing out at 46,641. The S&P 500 climbed 18 points to reach 6,616.
Solid gains across the board.
Right. And if you were watching the crypto boards, Bitcoin is having a massive morning, climbing over $1,068 to hit $71,594.
It is always a good morning when the boards are flashing green. And for our local listeners, just a quick sports highlight for you.
Let's hear it.
The SF Giants secured a very comfortable 8-2 victory over the Sultans de Monterrey yesterday. Landon Roop took the win on the mound, and Jake Holton had just a stellar day at the plate, going 2 for 3.
That is some really solid momentum to start today.
Definitely.
And speaking of starting the day with momentum, let's talk about how we fuel this broadcast. Today's show is brought to you by Strong Coffee,
which is genuinely a staple in the studio now. I mean, Strong Coffee is a premium instant coffee, but it tastes exactly like a traditional fresh brew.
Right, but the actual magic is in the formulation.
Exactly. Every cup packs 15 grams of protein, MCTs, and adaptogens like ashwagandha.
That adaptogen blend is the absolute key. You get that clean, sustained cognitive energy without the midday crash or, those terrible jitters you get from canned energy drinks.
Right. It just locks your focus in.
And right now you can use the promo code SNARFUL for 20% off your entire purchase at strongcoffeecompany.com. That is promo code SNARFUL for 20% off.
All right, focus locked. Are we ready to open up the morning report?
Let's get right into it. It is time to open the Morning Star, the Snarful Tech article report. This is where we pull the most vital tech news from our internal sources and connect the dots on what the underlying mechanics actually mean for you.
And today, the Star is completely consumed by a massive structural earthquake in the AI industry.
Total shakeup.
Yeah, we are breaking down 3 distinct shockwaves, resulting from OpenAI abruptly pulling the plug on its viral Sora video generator.
Right. If you open X this morning, you'll see this very brief, very sterile announcement from OpenAI stating that they are officially terminating the Sora consumer app.
Just entirely gone.
Gone. They are pulling it from their API, and any planned video integrations into the ChatGPT interface are completely scrapped.
Which, the speed of this collapse is what's truly staggering. Let's look at the timeline here.
It's crazy to think about.
It was just last September that OpenAI debuted the second-generation Sora model. And it wasn't just generating blurry images anymore. It was rendering accurate physics and generating completely synchronized audio.
Right. By November, they released the standalone app for iOS and Android. And within 24 hours, literally one day, it was the most downloaded app in the photo and video category globally.
Millions of people were generating these incredible hyper-realistic videos of everything from cinematic drone shots to, Mario, Pikachu, and Lara Croft running through real-world cities.
The adoption rate was totally unprecedented.
It really was. It's kind of like watching a firework, right? A massive, spectacular explosion that completely dazzled everyone, only to just vanish into smoke almost immediately.
Well, I do want to push back a little on the idea that this was just a fun, dazzling firework, though.
Fair enough. Why is that?
Because the reporting makes it clear that while consumers were out there having fun making Pikachu videos, The app was causing utter panic in the professional world.
Oh, the industry backlash was real.
Absolutely. It sparked immediate anxiety in Hollywood over human creators being displaced. It raised major alarms with copyright lawyers and deepfake experts.
Right.
And frankly, it contributed heavily to that massive landfill of AI slop that flooded everyone's social media feeds late last year.
Yeah, the cultural friction was intense. I mean, when your social feeds become choked with synthetic content, the novelty wears off very quickly for the average user.
Exactly. So the obvious assumption is that OpenAI just caved to the cultural backlash. I mean, did they just look at the deep fake controversies, the Hollywood anger, and the social media fatigue, and decide the PR hit wasn't worth the headache?
You know, that is the exact narrative a lot of people are jumping to this morning.
Naturally.
But PR problems almost never kill a product that is generating massive, sustainable profits. The real issue here is much more mechanical.
So it's structural.
Highly structural. The underlying technological and financial foundation of this app was incredibly fragile. And that becomes blatantly obvious when we look at the second major shockwave of the day.
Right, because it proves OpenAI didn't just abandon everyday users. They actually walked away from one of the most lucrative corporate partnerships in entertainment history.
Let's jump into that second story, which is the complete collapse of the $1 billion Disney deal.
Back in December, the Walt Disney Company shocked the entertainment industry by announcing a 3-year, $1 billion partnership with OpenAI.
And the scope of this was staggering. The roadmap was to bring over 200 of Disney's most iconic characters, we're talking from the Marvel Universe, Pixar, Star Wars, directly into the Sora ecosystem.
The end goal was to integrate real-time AI video generation right into Disney Plus streaming experiences.
Right, but according to sources familiar with the matter speaking to NBC News, that entire deal is officially dead.
Just dead in the water.
Disney is not proceeding. The partnership is dissolved.
It is genuinely like watching a major studio build a billion-dollar state-of-the-art theme park, and the day before the grand opening, the construction company just bulldozes the entire lot and refuses to explain why.
The theme park analogy works perfectly.
Yeah.
But we really have to look at the incredible legal irony happening in the background here.
Oh, the hypocrisy is wild.
It is. If you read the PR statement a Disney spokesperson gave to the media yesterday, it is incredibly diplomatic.
Let me guess, standard corporate crisis management.
Extremely polished. They said, we respect OpenAI's decision to exit the video generation business, and they promised to continue engaging with AI platforms responsibly.
Very polite.
Very polite. But let's look at the actual mechanics of Disney's legal strategy over the past year. There is a massive glaring contradiction.
Right.
On the exact same day that Disney announced this massive partnership with OpenAI last December, they turned around and slapped Google with a massive copyright infringement lawsuit.
Over Google's Gemini model.
Yes. They alleged that Google's Gemini AI was actively aiding users in creating unlicensed replicas of Disney's intellectual property.
So wait, let's get this straight. On one side of the street, they're aggressively suing Google for generating their IP.
Right.
While on the other side of the street, they are handing OpenAI $1 billion to build a licensed machine that does the exact same thing.
Exactly. I mean, put yourself in the shoes of an independent creator or a small business owner right now.
It's dizzying.
You're watching a mega corporation like Disney completely scramble to figure out the legal boundaries of AI copyright. They are throwing billion-dollar deals around, filing massive lawsuits, and then their chosen partner just unplugs the servers and quits the video business entirely.
Meanwhile, Google's Gemini is showing no signs of slowing down its own video generation rollouts in 2026.
The legal and corporate landscape is just total chaos right now.
It really is. But to be fair, Disney's hypocrisy isn't actually what killed this deal, right?
No, it wasn't. And that brings us back to the core mystery here. If the Sora app is wildly popular, literally the #1 downloaded app in the world, and they had a signed billion-dollar deal from Disney sitting right on the table.
Why walk away?
Right, why walk away?
Because you don't walk away from $1 billion over a few bad PR cycles.
You don't. You walk away because the math no longer works. And that leads us to our third and final story today. The brutal financial reality of the AI arms race and OpenAI's massive enterprise pivot.
The Wall Street Journal reported that OpenAI's head of applications, Fidji Simo, sent an internal memo to employees stating that a company is cutting what she explicitly called side quests to focus strictly on their core activities.
Calling a viral consumer app and a billion-dollar Disney partnership a side quest sounds arrogant.
It really does.
Until you look at the raw compute mechanics. Generating these videos was burning around $15 million a day.
Let's pause on that number for a second. $15 million every single day just to keep the lights on for this app.
We need to explain why that number is so astronomical, because generating AI video is fundamentally different from generating text.
Right. If you ask a chatbot to write a poem, it's pretty cheap.
Exactly. The underlying neural network is just predicting the next word, one token at a time. It requires a tiny fraction of a second on a modern GPU.
But video is a totally different beast.
Completely different. So Dara wasn't just pasting flat images together. It was utilizing complex diffusion models to simulate a physical world. It had to calculate lighting, shadows, physics, and temporal consistency. Making sure an object in frame 1 looks exactly the same in frame 60 all while generating synchronized audio.
That sounds incredibly heavy.
The mathematical load on a GPU to render 60 frames per second of physics-accurate video is just exponentially heavier than generating a paragraph of text.
Which makes sense why OpenAI's head of Sora, Bill Peebles, had already been sounding the alarm about this late last year.
He was warning everyone.
Right, he warned they were hitting a severe compute bottleneck. They simply could not procure enough specialized computer chips to keep up with the global demand for the app.
This is a zero-sum game. A company only has so many highly specialized GPUs in their data centers.
Yeah.
So every single chip that is busy rendering a fake video of a superhero for a consumer is a chip that cannot be used for high-level enterprise computing.
And OpenAI is feeling immense pressure on the enterprise side right now, specifically from Anthropic.
We've been tracking Anthropic's moves pretty closely on this show. They recently stunned the industry by releasing their Claude Cowork and Code tools.
We should define what Anthropic is actually doing here, because it explains OpenAI's panic.
Right. Anthropic isn't just building chatbots anymore. They are releasing agentic tech.
And agentic AI means the system doesn't just sit there and answer your questions. It actually takes autonomous actions.
Exactly. Claude Cowork can integrate directly into a company's systems, open spreadsheets, analyze financial databases, and actively write and execute software code.
Which is exactly what Fortune 500 companies are willing to pay billions of dollars for.
Precisely. So OpenAI looked at their limited, highly valuable supply of computing chips and faced a stark choice.
They could either use those chips to let millions of people generate free, viral videos, burning $15 million a day in server costs.
Or they can reallocate those exact same chips toward reasoning, coding, and agentic workflows for massive corporate clients.
Right. It's a fundamental reallocation of resources. Think of it like a very high-end restaurant facing a staffing crisis.
Okay, let's hear it.
Imagine you own a prestigious steakhouse. And to get people in the door, you set up an incredibly flashy, elaborate free dessert bar out front.
Right.
It goes completely viral. The line wraps around the block. Everyone is taking videos of your desserts.
But then you look at your ledger.
Exactly. You look at your books and you realize this viral dessert bar is literally bankrupting your kitchen.
Yeah.
You are burning out your chefs and you don't have enough staff left to actually cook the $100 steaks that keep the business afloat.
That's a huge problem.
So you make the painful decision to shut down the viral dessert bar, clear out the massive line of people, and focus all of your kitchen's energy strictly on cooking those high-margin steaks.
Which, for OpenAI, those steaks are enterprise software tools.
Right.
That analogy perfectly captures the mechanism of technical debt here. They literally didn't have the compute to cook both meals.
But I do have to play devil's advocate here, because the financial stakes for OpenAI are entirely unique.
They are.
I mean, they just raised $110 billion in fresh funding. The company is currently valued at $730 billion.
Massive numbers.
And crucially, they have an IPO and initial public stock offering expected in the coming months. If you were sitting on a $730 billion valuation, why not just eat the $15 million daily burn rate to maintain absolute market dominance in video?
This is a fair question.
Doesn't abruptly shutting down your most famous app right before you go public signal to Wall Street that you can't actually afford to run your own technology?
It might seem like a sign of weakness to the general public, but Wall Street interprets these mechanics very differently.
Really?
Yeah. Institutional investors reward structural focus, especially when they're evaluating a company for an IPO.
I see.
Because consumer apps are notoriously fickle. 1 month, you are the most downloaded app in the world, and the next month, a competitor releases something slightly better, and your entire user base evaporates.
The churn rate is just massive.
Massive churn. But enterprise software, agentic coding assistants and reasoning engines embedded deeply into the daily workflows of Fortune 500 companies, that represents predictable, sticky, recurring revenue.
So by cutting the $15 million daily burn rate of Sora, OpenAI is sending a very clear message to potential IPO investors.
They are saying, we are done subsidizing consumer entertainment. We are focusing our compute power entirely on the high-margin infrastructure that businesses will pay for year after year.
So this is fundamentally about cleaning up the balance sheet and optimizing chip allocation before they ring the bell at the stock exchange.
Exactly. They are sacrificing cultural virality for long-term infrastructural dominance.
It is a brutal calculation, but mathematically, given the physical limits of global chip manufacturing right now, it is likely the only sustainable path forward.
Very true.
Well, before we wrap up the STAR report and connect the final dots on what this means for the future of digital creation, we want to mention our second sponsor today.
If you are listening to all this tech news and thinking about what to get the techie friend or family member in your life, you really need to check out Old Glory.
Yes, Old Glory is an iconic merch store specifically for music and sports fans. If you are tired of handing out generic gift cards, this is the place to find a unique gift that actually matches someone's specific passions.
Whether they are into vintage band tees or, maybe you want to pair a gift with some premium golf apparel from Pins and Eyes.
Or even some Skony shoes to round out that perfect personalized gift.
Old Glory really has an incredible selection. And right now, listeners can use the promo code SNARFLE at checkout to get 15% off your entire purchase.
That is promo code SNARFLE at oldglory.com.
So let's bring all of these threads together. What is the ultimate takeaway from today's tech landscape?
Well, we just watched three massive structural shifts happen simultaneously.
Right.
First, we saw a culturally dominant consumer app go from the top of the global charts to completely dead in just 6 months due to immense compute strain.
Second, we watched $1 billion historic partnership between OpenAI and Disney completely collapse, revealing the incredibly messy legal and financial realities of AI copyright.
And third, we are seeing a $730 billion company deliberately pivot away from the glitz of Hollywood video generation to double down on the unglamorous but highly lucrative world of enterprise coding.
The AI landscape is maturing past the hype phase, clearly, and the physical constraints of computing power are forcing companies to make incredibly expensive, ruthless choices.
Which leaves us with one final provocative thought for you to chew on today.
Let's hear it.
For the last 3 years, the dominant narrative in the tech world was that AI was going to completely democratize creativity.
Oh, yeah. We were promised a future where anyone with a cheap laptop could just type a few sentences and generate a cinematic, photorealistic masterpiece.
The ultimate democratization of filmmaking.
Exactly the promise.
But look at the mechanics of what just happened. If a company valued at nearly $1 trillion, a company with the direct financial backing of Microsoft, and $1 billion check from Disney sitting right on the table.
Right.
If even they cannot afford the raw computing power required to sustain a consumer AI video generator, what does that mean for that dream?
It's a huge red flag.
Will high-end AI video creation become a luxury reserved strictly for massive mega corporations that can actually afford to build their own dedicated server farms?
Are we watching the democratization of AI video end before it even truly began?
That is the multi-billion-dollar question.
And it is a space we are going to be tracking very closely as Google and Anthropic make their next moves in the coming months.
We're here to help at Snarful, so reach out on our website if you have any more questions.
That's a wrap on today's top stories. Remember, tech doesn't have to be complicated, and we're here to help connect the dots. If you've got questions or want to learn more, visit us at snarful.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.